There we go. Well, let me back up. Probably screaming in your ears. We're waiting for wow, that's probably crazy loud, right? Free C Murder. I haven't heard that name in a long time. We're waiting for the Zoom virtual media Q&A to start for Joshua Franco, 115-pound fighter. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. I'm not acknowledging, listen, it's no disrespect to the fighters, but if you got a WBA belt, unless it's the super belt, I don't count it no more. I'm not counting it because it don't mean nothing. It's not like it gets you a mandatory shot at, wow, I'm really loud. Tell me what's going on. Am I screaming at you guys? Am I screaming at you guys? Hold on. Let me see what's going on here. Well, anyway, I'm not counting the WBA world belt or the interim belt because they don't mean nothing. So this fight right here, Joshua Franco versus Angel Maloney 3, is supposed to be for the WBA world or regular title. You're also going to have 140-pound contenders, soon to be 140-pound mandatory in about a year or so. If Josh, I don't think Josh Taylor is going to be around. By the way, Josh Taylor, current undisputed WBC, WBA, Super IBF, WBO Ring Magazine, 140-pound champion, is supposed to be fighting his WBO mandatory Jack Catterall in Ireland. That's the news that's going about. Not in Ireland, in Scotland, excuse me. And then it's looking like Arnold Barboza, who's fighting on his card against Antonio Moran. I put that information down below in the description box. Looks like Barboza is on his way to being a mandatory. You also have Jason Maloney taking on Joshua Greer, the fighter that comes out with the pillow. Hasn't been looking good his last, couple of fights, kind of a hit, or miss type of fighter. So overall, solid card in the busy weekend of cards. You got Joshua Buatsi on the zone versus some guy. Bulikins. Listen, I don't know who the dude is. The card I'm looking forward to the most is Guillermo Rigondeaux is now at 118 pounds. He's going to be taking on John Real Casimiro for the WBO 118-pound title. And the winner of that will hopefully fight the winner of Donaire versus Inoue, which I hope is going to happen. Can you imagine if there is a Donaire versus Rigo 2, but at 118, not 122 when they originally fought, and what was that, 2012 or some shit? That would be crazy. Me personally, I think that Casimiro was going to wash Rigo because I was at Rigo's last fight in Allentown, of all places. They got a White Castle. I was like, yo, Rigo looking old as shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't think he can do it. What's the other card? Ooh. Virgil Ortiz Jr. versus Aglias Kavalauskas. I'm looking forward to that. That's some good stuff right there. That's a good fight. So some good cards. In fact, let me pull this up right here while we're waiting for the fighters and Top Ranks Evan Korn to join and start this Zoom call. We don't got all day. I rush home from the gym. I've been losing some weight, like really, like my life has been stabilizing, got my kid, that whole legal custody stuff is, so I'm losing some weight. I'm really starting to take, better care of myself. Not like I wasn't before. Okay, let me tell you what happened. I became somehow, I know how, but I am in the top 10% in the nation of Google eatery reviewers. So when I do a review on a restaurant, when I come in there into a restaurant for a second time, if they realize this is me, they give me the gold treatment. So yeah, if I do a review on you, it pops like way up at the top. So what is it? I got like 4.8 million views, photo views or some shit like that. Well, anyway, that's how I got fat. And also being a recluse would do that to you. This Zoom call is starting. I was going to show you the boxing schedule. I guess we could talk about that after this is over, huh? You really love the Maloney.
Recording in progress.
All right, I think we're here, guys. Let me go a little screen. See what's going on. How you guys doing? You really love those Maloney brothers, bro. You better get out of my face. Talk to me like that. How dare you? You think his jab swelled his eye? I don't remember. I think it did, though. Didn't they show, like, the thumb of the glove? Like, you know, didn't they show that? I don't really remember, mates. So, yeah, let me get you the schedule real quick. It's supposed to be Nico Walsh, then Andrew Maloney. Then, hold on. Let me pull a schedule up for you. I won't be lying to you guys, man. Let's see what's going on here. Tell you exactly who's on this thing. I want to do a hybrid gaming boxing stream. You know, where I talk boxing but play video games too, man. I've been wanting to play video games so bad, but I don't want to play no video games unless I'm streaming. All right, so here's the lineup for the calls. We're probably going to be here for about an hour and a half. It is Ali Walsh, Jason Maloney, Andrew Maloney, Joshua Greer, Arnold Barboza, and then Joshua Franco is supposed to start at 2 p.m. So it looks like we're going to be here for a while. So in the meantime, let's chew the fat. Y'all see the cat? What's up with the cat? I'm not a cat person. I can't do the fur. You know, all the dander and whatnot. Animal dander. Well, while they're bullshitting around, let me go pull up the boxing schedule courtesy of Dan Rayfield's Fight Freaks Unite. He has the best boxing schedule on the web. It's busy as week. So look, let's go look at the boxing schedule real quick, homies. So look, this is what we got this week. We got Austin Trout returning for the Degenerates. If I can find that fight, I'll cover it for you. I'm going to low down like that. They got Austin Trout versus Alejandro Davila. Ooh. Mike Perez versus Tony Salam. Anthony Sims Jr. Okay, all right. The card's a little stacked. Over on the zone, you got Virgil Ortiz versus Aguilas Kavalaskas. Roger Gutierrez versus Rene Alvarado for Gutierrez's WBA bullshit belt. Felix Alvarado versus Eric Lopez. Pablo Cesar Cano. He's on that joint. I like Pablo Cesar Cano. Then over on Showtime, you got John Real Casimiro, Guillermo Rigondeaux for the WBO bantamweight 118-pound title. Antonio Russell versus Emmanuel Rodriguez for a WBA bullshit interim title. WBA, you make me sick. Rasheed Warren returns versus Damian Vasquez. Yo, they be giving them interim belts out like candy, bro. Joshua Franco versus Andrew Maloney 3. This is the card that we're doing this nice little Zoom here for. We're waiting for the fighters to join and Evan Korn to get his shit together. Joshua Franco versus Andrew Maloney 3. Bullshit title WBA fight. No disrespect to the fighters. I just hate the WBA. They make me sick. Nico Ali Walsh versus Jordan Weeks. Arnold Barboza versus Antonio Moran. Jason Maloney versus Joshua Greer Jr. Trey Lipe Morrison in the TBA. Carlos Balderas. He makes his top rank debut. Remember, he was formerly with Ringstar PBC. Genesis Savannah versus Andres Cortez. Ooh. All right. Then earlier in the day on the zone, you got Joshua Buatse versus Richard Bolotniks. Joe Cordina versus Joshua Hernandez. And Lord knows I don't know who none of these other people are. Forgive me. Forgive me. I don't know who they are. I don't know who they are. You can't expect me to know everybody. I mean, I watch a lot of boxing, but shit, I got a shitty memory. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of boxing this week. Make sure you like the video, subscribe. What's going on? Why is it only 10 people here? Oh yeah, because people don't give a shit about this fight. But we'll see. I'm gonna try to get some people in here. Let's see if we can get some people up in this joint. I'm loving that Virgil Ortiz fight. Ooh, I'm loving that joint. Kavalauskas is a very, very good fight. Former WBO mandatory. Of course, he got beat up by
Hi, welcome everybody. Thank
oh,
you
here
for
we
your
are.
patience. We're
Shut
going
up,
to
y'all.
start here momentarily, and welcome to Fight Week. Top Rank on ESPN is live from the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, Tulsa, this Saturday night. In what is one of the deeper cards you will see. So let's get going. We have a stacked undercard on ESPN Plus, exclusively starting at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, featuring the top ranked debut of Carlos Balderas, 2016 U.S. Olympian, the return of Abraham Nova back from injury, junior lightweight contender
Albert Bell, a great junior lightweight fight between Genesis Cervania and the unbeaten Andres Cortez from right here in Las Vegas. And also, we have a bantamweight showdown between Jason Maloney and Joshua Greer Jr. That is 10 rounds, and that will be the headliner of the ESPN Plus only portion of the show. And then at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, 9 p.m. local time, we have a great triple header kicking off with the co-feature, 10 rounds in the junior welterweight division, the undefeated Arnold Barboza Jr. Against Antonio Moran, two all-action fighters coming who are going to throw leather. That is a guaranteed action fight. And then right before the main event, we have the professional debut of a middleweight. You might know this last name. His name is Nico Ali Walsh. He's the grandson of Muhammad Ali, and he's going to be in a 4-round middleweight bout against Jordan Weeks. And then the main event, the grudge match between Andrew Maloney and Joshua Franco. Joshua Franco, the defending WBA super flyweight champion of the world, who defeated Andrew in their first fight back last June in the bubble. They had their rematch last November in the bubble. We all remember what happened, a no decision that occurred after a nearly 30-minute replay review. People are still debating whether that was a punch or a headbutt to this day. I know how Andrew Maloney feels about it, and I'm sure he will reiterate that all to you in just a little bit. But before we get to all that, we are going to start with Nico Ali Walsh, who is joining us now. Nico is the son of Rashida Ali Walsh, who is Muhammad Ali's daughter. And this is one of the most highly anticipated pro debuts in quite some time. So Nico, now that it's fight week, are you sort of like kicking into a different gear here?
Yeah, I'm definitely fully in fight mode now. You know, the hard work, the strenuous work is behind me, and I'm just ready to get in the ring at this point.
And as a reminder, raise your hand or shoot me a private message if you would like to ask questions, and we will get to questions shortly. And also of note, Nico is trained by Sugar Hill Stewart, obviously the last year's 2020 trainer of the year, who is the head trainer of the heavyweight champion of the world, Tyson Fury. So Nico, I know Nico spent some time during the pandemic in camp with Abel Sanchez. Now he's with the great Sugar Hill Stewart. So Nico, what can you tell everybody about what Sugar Hill has brought to your game and sort of being around all these great professionals that have been in the gym with Sugar Hill and just sort of what you've picked up, what you've learned from all that? Nico, can you hear me? One second. I think we have a slight technical issue. Hold on. Nico's 1 second, everybody. Hey, Nico.
Yes, okay, I can hear you now.
Sorry. It is not a Zoom press conference without a minor technical difficulty. So Nico, I was asking, what training with Sugar Hill Stewart, who's has a bunch of great guys in the gym with him. What have you learned? What have you picked up in this camp with a veteran trainer like Sugar Hill in a gym with so many top quality professionals?
Well, honestly, the biggest thing I would say is like how to carry yourself. You know, seeing how Tyson carries himself, and these other guys, it's a talent. It's a skill, the way that they just carry themselves, and I've learned to do that. And boxing is mostly mental, so he's very big on the mental side of things, and I'm blessed to have learned that during this training camp.
And now we are going to go to the questions. So we're going to start with Cynthia Conte from Ring TV. Cynthia, great to see you. Go ahead, unmute yourself and go ahead when ready.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Cynthia. Go ahead.
Hi, Nico. Congratulations on your pro debut. This is Cynthia Conte from Ring TV. Talk about the moments that you are making your pro debut with one of the most legendary last names in boxing. Is he there?
Nico, can you hear us? I said one technical difficulty, Cynthia. Hold on one second.
Yes.
We're going to talk about the card and everything
Nico,
after the stream.
Nico. Okay, looks like.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay, we're going to try this once more. Cynthia, go ahead once again.
Nico, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Here we go.
Knowing that you have such a legendary last name, especially in boxing, does that put a lot of stress on you to forge out your own name and your own path in this career in boxing?
Yeah, I think you put it perfectly. I think it just adds stress to me to make my own name. You know, that's the only thing it does, I believe. It because of the weight of that name, you know, Ali, especially in boxing, it is going to be harder for me to make a name for myself. But that's the challenge that I'm looking forward to, you know, tackling.
We're going to find out how you fight, but when people see you fight, even Sugar Hill or even Abel Sanchez, do they ever point out, say, you look like you do things like your grandfather?
I don't know. They surprisingly never talked about him. Sugar, because he's Emmanuel Stewart's nephew, and him and Emmanuel were so close, he understands what it's like to always be a title in, you know, being introduced as, you know, Emmanuel Stewart's nephew or whatever. So Sugar and I never talk about my grandfather because I think he understands that that title that people use to, you know, refer to you.
All right. Well, best of luck to you in your pro debut. Cannot wait to see you in the ring.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. And next we go over to the UK, and I'm happy we are, because programming note, the main card and Nico's fight will be available to our great UK fans on Sky Sports. So they will get a good look at Nico's pro debut, and hopefully Nico will be fighting overseas at some point where his grandfather is probably the most beloved sportsman, even in the UK. So that's obviously how far the Ali name goes. Jonathan Nagyoff, please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Hi, Nico. Jonathan here from Pro Boxing Fans. You all right?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thanks. I'm interested to know, when I spoke to Campbell Hatton, son of Ricky Hatton, he said that during his amateur career, a lot more people were determined to beat him because of his second name and what his dad did. Was that the same case for you, and how did your amateur career go?
Absolutely. You know, the way my aunt Layla put it, because Layla was a boxer, she said that you get the best versions of everyone you fight. You know, they come with their absolute A game. And I actually watch Campbell Hatton, and I love that story. I love continuing tradition and, you know, forging your own legacy. So, yeah, that was my entire amateur career. I got introduced as so-and-so's grandson a million times over, you know, every single fight. And they always find out without me telling them. So that was my amateur life.
Evan, can I ask one more? Is that all right?
Yes, go ahead, Jonathan. Of course.
Thank you. I read up that you're actually studying a degree at the moment in uni. How are you finding the time to combine it and fit in training as well?
You know, it's tough, but I'm very passionate about both, and my family would not let me box without, you know, getting an education. That was something that my grandfather was extremely strict on. So I have to make it work. You know, it's been done before, so I'm not the only one.
Best of luck, Nico. Look forward to it. Cheers.
Thank you.
And yeah, we got time for a couple more questions with Nico, and then we're going to be on to Jason Maloney. Mike Rueda, our friend from the 559 Fresno Central Valley area. Mike, please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Thank you, and thank you, Nico. Good to speak with you.
You too.
Thank you. first question, obviously, this is your pro debut. So aside from everything else, how's, the mentality, the emotions and everything for you with your, pro debut this Saturday? How are you feeling personally?
It's a very emotional journey because this is obviously a huge milestone in my life, not just my career. It's extremely important to me. But I feel so confident and so ready, and I've never felt more excited to perform as I am now.
And Nico, obviously, you've answered so many questions in the run up to this fight about the legacy, about being Muhammad Ali's grandson, what that meant, your relationship with Muhammad. But yet you've never seemed tired of answering those questions. Is it the pride you feel with that name? Why are you just so, you seem so comfortable and not tired of answering those questions? Why is that?
Yeah, it's, I'm totally fine talking about my grandfather. If you guys were asking me questions about my mom or my dad, I'd be the same exact way. I love my grandfather. I love my family, and it's something very easy for me to talk about it. It's very easy for me to answer those questions.
And lastly, before you go, I think people here would be interested. You've mentioned, when you were growing up in Las Vegas, Muhammad Ali lived in Scottsdale, Phoenix area. So can you tell everybody how often you would visit him and what sort of relationship you truly had with your grandfather?
Yeah, because he lived so close to Vegas, I was constantly going to see him. Me, my brother, and my parents were always, traveling down to Scottsdale, and yeah, we were just very close. And I'm just so blessed that I got to spend as much time as I did with him, because grandparents aren't here forever. And I'm just very happy. We have so many great memories together.
And Nico's got to run because he's got a couple other interviews to do right now, keeping the kid busy. But any closing thoughts, any final thoughts you'd like to relay to everybody as you're 5 days away from that pro debut?
I'm just extremely excited. That's all I know. It gets a little bit redundant me saying, but I'm so excited. It feels like, just a new beginning and a great start to a great journey. So I'm very excited for Saturday.
Well, thank you to Nico for joining us. And as a reminder, ESPN and ESPN Plus, 10 o'clock Eastern, he will be the bout right before the main event. And right after the co-feature between Barboza and Moran. Nico, thank you for joining us today, and we will see you on Saturday, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Nico. We'll talk soon. And next we turn to from Australia, right here in Las Vegas. He is a two-time bantamweight world title challenger. He obviously, like his brother, was busy inside of the bubble. Began his U.S. Run with a TKO win over Leonardo Baez. And then last October, he ran into the monster, Naoya Inoue, and gave a great effort for losing via TKO. So he's back. Still world ranked, just like his opponent, Joshua Greer. So we welcome the twin brother of the headliner, Jason Maloney, joining us today. Jason, how are you doing today?
I'm good. G'day, everyone. Thanks for your time.
And and Jason, it's obviously you've answered a lot of questions about Inoue, but that was the first time in your career that it was a one-sided defeat, right? Your first loss in a title effort was a very controversial split decision. How were you able to sort of mentally regroup from that? You went home with a 2-week quarantine in a hotel. So how were the last few months in terms of getting over that disappointment and coming back, sort of fully ready to prove that you're one of the world's best bantamweights?
Yeah, I was obviously initially very disappointed in the outcome of the fight, and also disappointed in my performance as well. I knew stepping in against Inoue that it was a tough task. He's pound for pound one of the best fighters on the planet, but I took on the challenge because I believed I could beat him, and I did everything I could, but just wasn't happy with how I performed on the night. And obviously he's an exceptional fighter. So the initial disappointment was hard, and it was tough to take, but I'm a positive guy, and I just want to take the positive out of that situation. And over the last 9 months since that fight, I've just been working hard. I've been, after being in the fight with Inoue and seeing that benchmark of what the best looks like, and seeing the level that I want to reach, it gave me something to work towards. And I've been so motivated and in the gym working hard, and just with, that in mind, that's where I want to be. That's the level that I, am aspiring to reach, and this is how good I need to be the best bantamweight in the world, and just been working hard. And I feel like I am a much better fighter from the experience, and looking forward to fighting this weekend and putting on a great performance and showing people that I am back better and stronger than ever.
And obviously, since that defeat and since Joshua's draw, obviously both under the Top Rank banner, that was a fight that I know fans sort of said made sense. And I know you guys sort of, I think, a little social media back and forth. At what point did you start targeting or circling Joshua Greer as a potential opponent for you?
Well, as you know, I was supposed to fight Greer back in April of last year, and the fight was called off because that was when the whole pandemic first hit. So because we were already scheduled to face each other, we've always, I think, both had our eyes on that fight, and probably thought it was a fight that was always going to happen. But as you said, with me coming off a loss and him obviously coming off a draw as well, it made sense. And there's a lot on the line here because it's, a fight that we both must win. A win here is going to put one of us in a very good position and move us right up the world ratings and take a giant step towards a world title. And obviously a loss to either of us is going to be a major setback. So there's a lot on the line, and that's why I've been working so hard and giving myself every opportunity to go out there and perform my absolute best. And I know my best is definitely good enough to beat Greer.
And yes, and Jason's correct. They were originally scheduled to fight April 25th of 2020 on the Inoue Casimero undercard. So that was one of the many excellent cards, obviously, that were scrapped initially by the pandemic. So we go to the questions, and Cynthia, please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Can you hear
Cynthia?
me?
Yes, we can, Cynthia. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Hi, Jason. I know that we've spoken a lot about Inoue, but these are one of the main questions we always wanted to hear. How did you rate his power, since the monster has such incredible power? Was he one of the hardest hitters that you've ever had to endure?
Yeah, the hardest hitter I've ever faced. Look, during the start of the fight, he hit me a few times, and I sort of thought to myself, this isn't that much, it's nothing I can't handle, but it's more just his explosive speed. And both times he hit me and put me down, they were just punches I didn't see. And everyone in boxing knows that the punches you don't see are really the ones that hurt you. And it's just that explosiveness that he has. And yeah, it's undeniable that he has exceptional power. So unfortunately, at that top level, you can't afford to wear those big shots too often. And he caught me, and I did my absolute best to get up from that right hand. But he got me good, and I couldn't beat the count. So yeah, he's an exceptional fighter. But as I said, after being in the ring with him, I really think that it's taken my game to another level. So, I'm proud of myself for stepping up to the challenge and taking on the best.
You talked about that you wanted to take the positives away from that fight. What were the positives that you learned about yourself?
Look, I've watched the fight, and there is moments where I do well, and I am in there, and I know I can compete at the absolute highest level. But as I said, I wasn't very happy with my performance. But this is the new chapter of my career, and now it's time to show everyone what I'm made of. I'm going to come back from this experience better and stronger than ever, and show that that loss isn't going to define me. I'm going to keep moving on, and there's bigger and better things ahead.
All right, best of luck to you.
Thanks, Cynthia.
Thank you, Cynthia. And next we turn to Eddie Goldman. Please unmute yourself and go ahead when ready. Sorry, one more time, Eddie. Unmute yourself. Eddie, please unmute yourself. There you go. Go ahead, Eddie.
Okay, great. How you doing? Can you tell us a little bit about how you've changed since the last fight that you have, and what we can expect going forward? What you learned from that fight?
So yeah, it was a little low, so he asked how you changed and maybe.
Yeah, I could hear it. It's all right.
I'm sorry. I had to.
No worries, Eddie. All good.
Okay.
No, look, I'm the ultimate professional, and I'm not a fighter that just starts training, for 6 or 8 weeks once a fight's scheduled. I'm a fighter who is a perfectionist and just always wants to get better and get better and get better. And I've been in the gym working hard over the last 9 months since that defeat to make myself a better fighter and to reach the levels that I want to reach. And, you know, I've just been working on every aspect of my game. You know, the way Inui used his feet to control the fight, the way he threw his explosive punches, the way he backed himself and took control of the ring. I've taken bits and pieces of his game and formed them into mine. And I've just been working extremely hard to go out there and put on a great performance and show that I'm a fighter that just keeps getting better.
Thank you very much, Eddie. Next we go to Crystal Hart. Crystal, please unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Okay. You know, although you had your own crosses to process with your loss, did you help out? You know, your brother had a very controversial defeat. Did you help him in any way, help process that loss?
Well, controversial no contest, just yeah.
Yeah.
No contest heard around the world, yeah.
Yeah, look, it was pretty rough. Once we got back to Australia, myself and my brother went into a 2-week quarantine in a hotel room where it was just the two of us. So we had a lot of time to process the disappointment of that trip. For myself, obviously, I was devastated, but you know, I was beaten by the better fighter. Whereas Andrew was completely robbed and went home without a belt that should have been his. So that was a much tougher pill to swallow. It was very hard for Andrew, and obviously I was there to support him, but there was a lot of positives that he could take from that fight as well, because for the 2 rounds that fight lasted, he showed how good he is, and the rest of the world believed he won, except for the judges that night and the referee that night. But the rest of the world knew that he was a rightful champion, and I think that made the whole no contest a little easier to take. But yeah, of course there was disappointment, but that's why we've been working hard to make sure that this trip's a success, and this time we'll be going back to Australia with 2 belts and 2 great wins, and Andrew a world champion and me taking a giant step towards winning a world title myself. So it's about turning it around, and all's well that ends well.
Well, before we get to Andrew, and the good thing about having brothers there, as soon as Jason comes up, Andrew will just slide into the thing. I don't know if anybody will really be able to tell the difference that Andrew came in. I know I barely can, but Jason, I know obviously COVID restrictions are different everywhere, and there's still in Australia there's lockdowns in Sydney right now, near where you're semi-near where you're from. Can you tell everybody like what you've had? You know, you've had 2-week quarantines. You're going to have a 3rd one when you get back. Can you talk about the sort of the sacrifices you and Andrew have had to make, you know, to sort of embark on your American dream and to take part in these fights?
Yeah, that's right. You know, in total with these 3 fights, I think it's going to be about 8 months that we've both spent away from our family. We're both got young kids. I've got a 2.5-year-old daughter, and my brother Andrew has a 2-year-old son. So there's a lot of sacrifices we've made to be over here for so long and have these fights. And obviously once we get back to Australia, as Evan said, we'll do our 3rd stint of hotel quarantine, which is basically 14 days in a hotel room where you cannot leave for any reason at all. Which, yeah, it's obviously not ideal. But look, we're just, this is just another example of the sacrifices that we're willing to make to achieve our dreams. And whatever it takes, we're willing to do it. And that's what we're going to show this weekend again. When we step in the ring, it's win at all costs.
And I think that's said pretty well. So Jason, we are going to let you go, but so tell Andrew tell Andrew just slide right in, and we will begin the Andrew Maloney portion of the Zoom call right now.
Legend. Thanks for your time, guys. Enjoy the fights.
Thank you, Jason.
Geez, this Zoom call got me knackered. How we know it's not the same person?
The haircut is the facial hair.
Let's see.
Slightly different.
And the haircut's a little different.
So yes, we can tell the difference. We are joined by the former WBA super flyweight champion of the world. He thinks that a lot of people think he should be a 2-time WBA super flyweight champion of the world, and he will attempt to do that Saturday night. Andrew, welcome. I'm not a fighter, but how tired are you? Are you tired of Joshua Franco at this point? Been 3 training camps for this guy, 3 times in America. I mean, what's it like fighting a guy 3 times in a row, 3 times within a 14-month period?
Yeah,
That's the same dude.
Firstly. Yeah, you're right, Evan. Like, I'm not tired of fighting him, but I'm tired of thinking about him. It's been like 16 months now that every day, all I've had in my head is beating Joshua Franco. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing this trilogy off this weekend, getting my belt back first of all, and then not thinking about Joshua Franco for at least a few months.
After can you run us through, after the last fight, the WBA mandated a 3rd fight, but it's been 9 long months since the fight. I mean, was there ever a point where you're sort of wondering, when is this fight going to happen, despite obviously the WBA mandating it?
Yeah, definitely. I was really hoping this fight would happen early in the year, because obviously that second fight only went 2 rounds. So I was fresh. I got back home and started training immediately when we landed in Australia. Even in the hotel room, I was doing some training and just was so eager to get that rematch happening straight away. Unfortunately, it kept the fight getting pushed back, and we've ended up now in August, which is obviously a longer wait than I wanted. So there definitely was times where I was thinking, like, I hope nothing gets in the way of this happening, and Franco's team can't find their way to get another fight. So that was definitely a little bit frustrating, but the fight's almost here now, and I'm thankful in a way that we've had 9 months, because I've been in the gym every single day, and I really feel like over the last 9 months I've developed a hell of a lot as a fighter, and I really feel like I've gone to a whole new level now.
As a reminder, everybody, if you want to ask a question, use the raise hand function on the Zoom meeting call, or you can send me a direct message to ask a question. We're going to start off with Cynthia again. Cynthia, please unmute yourself.
Hi, Andrew.
Hello.
We just spoke with your brother, and we talked about that you guys sat and talked about your fight against Franco. When you ran it back and you watched it yourself, can you play back in your mind exactly what happened over and over and see the outcome that it was what it was?
Well, I've watched that fight, I'd say, over 100 times now, and it is just so clear to me that sorry, something's popped up on the screen. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, you're good, Andrew. Keep going.
Good. And yeah, like I knew on the night, the damage to his eye was from a punch, and the more and more I watch that fight, the more clear it is. I know the exact punch that did the damage. It's at 1 minute 36 left in round 1. If you want to go and have a look, and you can see that he covers his eye for about 15 seconds after that shot lands, and I'm 100% sure that was the punch that did it, and I know that he knows that as well. He's obviously not going to admit it, but I know deep down he knows that he's not the deserving champion right now, and I know that he's going to come in more determined this weekend to try and prove and basically try and prove to the public that he should be the champion. But I'm even more determined, and I think we're going to have 2 very determined fighters in the ring this weekend, and I think it's going to be a great fight for the fans, but I'm very confident I'll come out on top and come out with my world title.
Thank you, Cynthia. Next we go to Alan Alford. Alan, thank you for your patience. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you. Thank you for having us, Andrew. I just have a couple of things. First is, with this fight now, the 3rd time you're fighting him, do you feel as if you know each other too well, where there's nothing that he can do or you can do that will really surprise each other that might be beneficial to you winning this fight?
Yeah, I feel like I know him very well. I feel like I have more tools to my game, and I have more things that I can bring to the ring that he hasn't seen yet. I think he basically comes with the same sort of style in all his fights. So I don't think there's too much different that he can bring. But I believe there's a lot more that I can show that he hasn't seen yet. But all in all, I think it's just going to come down to who wants it more, and I believe that's going to be me.
Thank you, Alan. Next, we go to Ryan O'Hara from Ring TV. Ryan, please go unmute yourself and go ahead.
Hey, how's it going, Andrew? Ryan O'Hara with the Ring here. Speaking to Joshua Franco, he has doubled down, on the whole, headbutt explanation. But I remember there was a UFC fighter who got a bad decision one year, and he was asked after the fight, "Hey, did you think you won that fight?" And he just went, "Hell no, dude. That was a horrible decision. I didn't win." And he got a standing ovation from the crowd. He couldn't believe it. But the fact that this is, although it wouldn't be necessarily good for Franco to admit that, that the headbutt took place, because that would look a little bit bad on him. But the fact that he's continued to double down on the headbutt, is that giving you, even more motivation? Like, you know what? I just really want to take this guy out and prove that who really is the better fighter. Is that really motivating you right now?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I didn't expect that he'd come out and say, "Oh, you know what? I lied. It was a punch." But I have seen interviews where he's tried to claim that, the fight was going the same way as the first fight. Maloney started strong. It was a head clash. I was going to stop him later in the fight anyway, which he knows isn't true. There's a complete difference between the first fight and the second fight on my part. And he could feel what I was bringing to the ring that night. And I know that deep down he knows that I'm more of a challenge than he thought going into that second fight. I believe he was overlooking me going into that second fight and just thought that he was going to walk right through me. And he got a shock that night when he saw what I bring to the table.
Thank you very much, Ryan. A lot of questions for Andrew, so we'll try to get through as many as we can before Joshua Greer. So next we go to the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. Terrell Van, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Andrew?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, Andrew. My question is: with a win, you will be the WBA world champion. What's the path that you plan on taking? Is it to go after the winner of I don't know if it's official yet, but Estrada versus Chocolatito? Winner, possible IBF. You did talk to my colleague Big J earlier this week, and basically you did cite the potential politics with a Jerman and Cajas fight now that he's over with PBC. Basically, my question is, to keep it simple, is what path are you looking to take?
Yeah, look, I mean, at the moment, I'm honestly not looking past Joshua Franco and not even really thinking about what's next. My 100% focus is on winning this fight on Saturday night and getting my world title back. But I'm very aware that the super flyweight division is stacked at the moment, and there's a lot of great fights out there for me. But first and foremost, I need to get a win on Saturday night to make any of those fights possible. But there is a lot of big names out there and fights that really excite me to be involved in. There's obviously the winner of Estrada Chocolatito, which will be crowned as the number one at this 115-pound division. So, yeah, I'd love to take on the best and try and claim that title as the king of the super flyweight division. So that would probably be my preference. But to share the ring with Chocolatito, Estrada, Ioka, and Cajas, even Rungvisai, Quadras, there's so many great names in this division, and they're all fights that I want to be involved in. But look, I will leave that to Top Rank and my team after the fight, and we'll have a discussion. But at first and foremost, I need to get past Joshua Franco.
And Andrew, I want to touch on something that happened last time. After the fight, there's a lot of chirping between both teams when you were trying to do your ESPN interview. I found it kind of funny because you and Joshua are rightfully known as like two of the nicer guys in boxing. So it was kind of interesting to see that play down. Is there still any bad blood, or did you consider that, is that sort of like a heat of the moment kind of thing that just happened after like an emotional, controversial fight?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and as you saw, Evan, that Franco himself actually had nothing to say. It was mainly Peter, Gus Roberts' son, who had a lot to say, and a few other members of Franco's team. But if you watch the footage that was posted the other day around social media, they're talking to me about what happened in the first fight, which made no sense to me because that was not what I was arguing about at that point. I just dominated that fight for 2 rounds and should have walked away with a TKO win. So that's what I was concerned about at that point. So yeah, I mean, there is a little bit of bad blood, like that feeling coming into this fight that, you know, Franco's been walking around for 9 months with a world title that I believe I should have right now. So there is that feeling that there's more going to this fight than just any other opponent. But yeah, most of those words that were said were not to Franco himself or between me and him. So there's not really, you know, that much animosity between both of us. And I'm sure we'll shake hands after this fight and after everything's done. And you know, I wish him all the best.
Let's see, we got a couple more questions. We got Joshua Greer in the chat now, so we're going to start with him in just a couple minutes. Let's see who we have here. Eddie Goldman, please unmute yourself and go ahead. Eddie? Oh, sorry, Eddie. I accidentally pressed mute. Please unmute yourself again, Eddie. We'll try one more time.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, very good. Now, let me just get set. Can you tell us about what you might want to do in this upcoming fight that you were unable to do in previous fights? What you have learned as your career has gone on and improved in terms of technique?
I believe overall this experience of this trilogy and the 2 fights we've had so far has taught me a lot. And I think I've made some huge improvements, mainly because I've gone home with disappointment both times, and that's forced me to train so hard every day in the gym to improve as a fighter and to make sure that I get my world title back. So having those results in my mind and you know, really motivating me to get the most as I can out of every training session, that's what's helped me improve. And I believe what I showed in that second fight and the improvements I made between the first and the second, I've improved even more since then. But the way that fight was going, I think I'm just going to take, you know, this fight is just going to be a continuation of that. And I'm going to go out there and dominate this fight for as long as it lasts.
And I think we got Joshua Greer on, so we will stay on time here. But Andrew, before you go, I think the fight will be available at Fox Sports Australia Sunday early afternoon. I get confused with my time zones, but I believe Sunday early afternoon, Fox Sports Australia for Andrew's devoted Aussie fans. Any final thoughts you'd like to give before you head back to training?
Yeah, I believe actually Main Event TV, which is the pay-per-view version of Fox Sports. It's going to be. I think it's going to be a great fight. As I said, I think he's going to be more determined this time around, and I'm even more determined than what he is. So I think it's going to be a great fight for the fans, and I'm just looking forward to getting there on Saturday night and putting on a great performance and getting my world title back. So hope everyone tunes in and enjoys the fight.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Andrew. He's leaving for Tulsa tomorrow, so get ready, get packed, and we will see you then, my friend. All right?
That sounds good. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. And next, we move right along to a little weird order here, but we move over to the man that is fighting Andrew's brother, Jason Maloney, as I mentioned, in the 10-round bantamweight fight, which will be live and exclusively on ESPN+. That is the fight right before the main card. So that fight should be going off around 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. And for Joshua's Chicago fans, around 8 p.m. Central Time in Chicago, live and only on ESPN+. Joshua, welcome. You started, signed with Top Rank in 2018. You kept the knockout streak going. You kept the pillow going. But last couple of fights obviously haven't been what you've wanted result-wise. I'm coming off the loss against Mike Plania and the draw in your last fight. Why are we going to see a different Joshua Greer Jr. Than we have those 2 fights inside the bubble?
Man, I've done a lot of things different. Me and Kate Karoma, we've been working. one-on-one. You know, I've been out, we had a full camp working on one-on-one, man. So everything is going to be different. You know, it's going to, I don't want to say too much. It's going to be a great night, great night.
And can you talk about, you're obviously with Coach K and with all of the great fighters that are in that gym. I'm sure you've been around Jared Anderson, Shakur Stevenson, the list goes on. You've changed trainers a couple times in the last fights. Now this is, I believe you said your second full camp with Coach K. Can you elaborate on what a guy like K has brought to you and has brought to the table, and how you see that shaking out Saturday night?
Well, first, I want to give congratulations to my teammates, Duke Reagan, Troy Asley, and Keyshawn. You know, them guys, just even seeing them do their thing in the Olympics and everything is, it was just motivating for me, you know what I mean? Motivating for me to see and to know them guys, to be training next to those guys, you know, learning the same things, you know, it's definitely motivating and inspiring, you know, and that's definitely one of the things that pushed me even more, you know, seeing them fight every time, fight for their dreams and their livelihood. But Coach K brought a lot to the table that, just so much. We worked on so much, and we just had one-on-one time together while the guys were in the Olympics. And, Jared Anderson and FA fights got pushed back because of COVID. So we just had time to work, one-on-one. And it's just been, I just can't wait.
And I think if you look at the boxing Twitterverse, I think this is the fight or one of the fights on the card that everybody is most excited about. And it was originally, as we mentioned before, supposed to happen last April, and a lot has happened to both you guys since then. So we finally get the fight almost 14 months later. We're going to start the questions with Jeremy Harridges. Jeremy, please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Hi, Josh. Thank you for joining us today.
How you doing?
Good. Your last two fights took place in 2020. There were still issues with COVID going on. Do you feel like the issues with COVID within our country and in the world at large were largely a reason why maybe you didn't perform your best in those fights?
That's possible. I think it had a lot to do with me also. A lot of things that I needed to work on, that's been worked on and fixed and everything. So it's that's possible, but that's really, I'm not a man of too many excuses, you know what I mean? So it is what it is.
Taking a look at those last two fights, what were some of the things that you felt you were lacking in those fights, and what were your focuses for this upcoming fight?
With Plania, I felt like I liked it was just slight things like having my hands up, my right hand being up, deflecting the hook or rolling under the hook, just some small defensive things. And with Rodriguez, I felt like coming off the Plania loss and everything, I just felt like I could have did more. Of course, a lot of people felt like I want to fight, but I feel like I could have did a lot more. You know what I mean? So now this camp has been amazing. As far as just the work and just being one-on-one with K. Karoma, which is like something that's almost impossible to happen with the fighters that he got, but it's crazy. It's just timing was everything, it's just God's plan, because at the end of the day, most of our team was at the Olympics, and then Jared Anderson and FA got pushed back because of COVID. So I just had one-on-one time with Coach K and also the Coach K's partner, Kevin Smalls, and it's just been one-on-one, them on me. And it's just, it's been hell, but hey, it's going to pay off.
We have a question. We had a question in the chat for Marquise Johns, who asked about the pillow. We were not answering any pillow questions. That is, Joshua, that's a surprise, right? Pillows. We're not talking pillows yet, right?
Right. Hey, Evan, no pillow talk. That's all I love you, Evan.
No pillow. Yeah. He asked the question. I know we talked about that a little earlier. So there's no mention of the pillow. What Josh does or does not decide to do with the pillow, you'll have to wait for Saturday night. You'll have to wait for Saturday night. That'll be the ESPN Plus surprise, right? So you have to tune in for that. Next, we go to Ryan O'Hara. Ryan, please unmute yourself. Ryan O'Hara. Going once. Ryan? All right. Ryan O'Hara can't figure that out. We'll get back to him shortly. Terrell Van, unmute yourself and go ahead. You're up, Charles.
I mean, a lot of things, but Jason Maloney is a good fighter, a good contender. He got some good basics, some good fundamentals and things like that. But we got a game plan and we work very well. I'm confident in pulling off the victory.
And let's try Ryan O'Hara once more. Ryan, please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Hey, how's it going, Josh? Sorry about that.
I was sitting here eating chicken wings. I wasn't even forgot my hand was raised.
I know it's been a few years since you've gotten a win, and looking back at the Plania and the Rodriguez fights, you were on a big run there for a while. I mean, what do you think is the reason you ran into these hiccups? Did you from your perspective, do you feel like you felt like that you were, at a certain level that you didn't have to train as hard as other guys, or did you just run into different challenges? What's your take?
It's just in this game, you don't get comfortable. There's no such thing as comfortability. It's always what's next. Like even after I beat Jason Maloney, they're gonna be saying, oh well, it's this guy. You know what I'm saying? It's always going to be what's next. You cannot get comfortable in this game. And I felt at times, I felt like I've got relaxed. I felt my team at the time, got relaxed and stuff like that. And you cannot. That is a no-no in this game. And you got to be hungry, which I'm hungry as ever. I'm the B side, which I love because this is where I come from. That B side mentality is what made me. That's how I made my career. You know what I mean? And why I'm in the position I am today. So I love it. And it's like those things like that is those losses and stuff like that. Those can make you better. You know what I mean? Those are learning experiences and lessons in life. You either learn from them or you don't. And I definitely learned.
All right. Next we go to Mike Rueda. Mike, unmute yourself and go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for taking time today, Josh. Real quick, obviously you've had a good amount of time since your last fight. Do you feel that maybe that's helped you refocus and re-energize coming into this one as well?
Yeah, definitely. And I like I said, man, K Karoma and his partner Kevin Smalls, I owe a lot to them. You know what I mean? They've been dragging me to hell and back. You know what I mean? I owe a lot to them. And it's just so much we've been doing, man. I owe a lot to my team.
Thank you very much, Mike. And Joshua, before we have Arnold on the line, so we're going to let you run. But before you run, is there any final thoughts you'd like to before you head back to training and before you head to Tulsa? And any final thoughts, Joshua?
No, man. I just got to say, man, whoever counted me out, they couldn't count. You know what I mean? I see everybody August 14th. It's time to work. I'm clocking in, baby.
All right, so that's Joshua Greer Jr., still world ranked at bantamweight. And as I said, no pillow questions. That will be answered Saturday night. Joshua,
no pillow
thank
talk.
you very much. We will see you soon, man.
All
right. And next up, we thank you to Joshua for that. And next up, we go to the undefeated world ranked junior welterweight contender from South El Monte, California, in Los Angeles. He is in the passenger seat driving the car. We always have some interesting Zoom locations for these, but we appreciate Arnold spending some time. Arnold, welcome. It's been a long time. There he is. It's been a long time out of the ring for you. Nearly 10 months. Can you talk about what the last 10 months have been like for you? Obviously, coming off of the win over Alex Saucedo and all the stuff that happened in that fight. How you been, Arnold?
He don't got no
Looks
service.
like we have a frozen Arnold Barboza. So everybody just bear with me 1 second while we get him back. Hold on.
Yeah, driving and trying to do a live stream or a Zoom call is no good, because you're going in through all the different, whatever. But yeah, I like this card. Oh, he's back.
Arnold,
Hold
can you hear
on.
us? Sorry, I think you broke up there for a second.
Yeah.
Can you, Arnold? Yes. Can you discuss sort of what the last 10 months have been like? How eager you are to get back in the ring after what was the signature win of your career?
Hungry, man. Hungry. I felt like I was had good momentum. After that fight. So man, we're just eager to get back in the ring, man. Happy.
And you've been sort of top 10 in many of the sanctioning bodies for a while. How tough is it for an athlete, for a boxer, when you're so highly ranked and you're waiting on that title shot and you're seeing what's going on in the junior welterweight division with Taylor and Ramirez and all this stuff? How eager, how hungry are you to get to that title shot? Because it's you've been waiting for a little bit.
Man, it's hard, man. It's hard to sit down and wait, and at the same time, staying busy. So it's hard, man. It's hard to see and hard to, but we got to do it, right? Right now it's just a bad time, because Taylor has all the bouts, but hopefully eventually soon it starts opening.
And so as a reminder, everybody, to ask a question, please use the raise hand button on your Zoom, or send me a direct message. We've got a couple questions coming in, but before we do, I got another one for you. Arnold, I mean, obviously Antonio Moran is a veteran. We've seen him on Top Rank shows. He's a staple, all action fighter on the Chico Zabala's Telemundo shows. When analyzing him, what do you see from Antonio Moran? What are his strengths?
Man, he's a very tough fighter. I think his heart is his biggest strength. He's very tough, man, and he has a lot of experience. He's been in there with a lot of good fighters, a lot of top fighters, and it's a fight that I'm really looking forward to, man.
We start out with Jeremy Herridges from Fansided. Jeremy, please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Hi, Arnold. Taking a look at your upcoming opponent, Antonio, how much have you watched of him? How familiar are you with him at this point?
We watched a few fights already of him. I'm familiar with them now. I feel like my team has put together a great game plan, man, and we're just ready to go.
He's been in there with experienced guys, some top names, but hasn't come away with one of those big wins. Do you feel almost like this could be a situation where it's almost like a trap fight, a guy with a lot of power that might be hoping that you aren't expecting a lot from him? Is this maybe a more dangerous opponent than people are thinking of?
Of course, man. These are the most dangerous opponents. I feel like, if I was in his situation, I would go out there and try to, do everything I can to pull out the upset. But I don't train like I'm the favorite. I always train like I'm the underdog. So I think that's what gives me an edge.
Last question for me. Taking a look at a division that's incredibly loaded. I mean, there's a lot of big names up there. Is there any frustration from you that sometimes your name doesn't get mentioned with the Taylors or the Prograys or whoever? And does that kind of give you a chip on your shoulder or motivate you?
All the time, man, all the time. But, the only way we can, stop that is by becoming a world champion and keep working, man, putting our head down and keep working. It's all right, man. It bothers me, but at the same time, I'll be mentioned pretty soon.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. Next, we go ahead to a fellow from the Fresno area, Mike Rueda. So I have a suspicion if he's from Fresno, I have a suspicion, Arnold, about what his question who his question will be about. Mike, go ahead.
No, it's not about that one this time.
No, not a Jose Ramirez question.
No,
no. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. Mike, go ahead.
No, so Arnold, obviously, you're constantly in the gym. I see it all the time. I see, speaking with Danny Roman, he says, he sees you all the time as well. How does it feel to share a gym and share training with someone at the level of Danny Roman, be it at another weight class, but someone at his level?
Oh man, it's big. My Danny motivates me a lot, man, and I pick his brain, here and there, and we talk all the time. It's great, man. People don't understand how much of a good person he is, man, it's an honor, man, to share the gym with him.
Yeah, and then last question is going to be about Moran. Obviously, we talked about the type of fighter he is, who he's been in the ring with as well. But knowing, as we said, the type of fighter he is, did that make you more excited to get in the ring with him because of the style he brings to you?
Of course. Of course, everyone knows I'm a fan-friendly fighter, a TV fighter, and man, we're just excited to finally be back where we belong and to put on a show for everybody.
Thank you, man, and good luck this Saturday.
Thank you.
And obviously, there's Arnold's talked about this in a couple interviews, but in his last fight, big win over Alex Saucedo, and he obviously suffered some injuries, but he made a great recovery in his back. But for everybody, Arnold, can you talk a little bit about the relationship you've developed with Alex since you two shared the ring in Las Vegas last October?
Man, great relationship. We talk and we talk here and there, and now the conversation have turned to stuff not even about boxing sometimes. It's about him coming out here and meeting my family, me going out there and meeting his. And man, he's a great dude, man. And he's a brother to me in the ring, like I always say, and he's wishing me the best all the time, man. Like same here, I'm always wishing him the best, man. And it's a great relationship.
And obviously Alex is from Oklahoma City, about 90 minutes from where the fight's taking place in Tulsa. So with that, we will let Arnold go because we got Joshua Franco on the line. Arnold, thank you very much. Get back to training, and we will see you in Tulsa, my friend.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Arnold. And now we go live to probably Riverside, right, Josh? Are you in Riverside right now, Josh?
Yeah, Riverside.
Riverside, yep. I can see that's the Garcia Boxing Academy background right there. Josh, welcome back. Third straight time fighting Andrew Maloney. Can you first address? Obviously you are the defending champion, but everybody's aware of the controversy that swirled around the last fight. Is it weird for you when the fight ends like that and there's so much controversy? I mean, can you run through the emotions and what you were feeling in the days and weeks following a fight where it seemed like everybody had a take one way or another?
Yeah, that was my first time, with that happening to me, something like that, with in a fight. So, it was different, and all that hate I was getting, excuse my language, sorry, all the hate I was getting, it just, at first, it was bothering me because, people were nonstop with it. I had, DMs, going and going, talking to, people talking crap to me. So it was different, but, as time passed on, I got over it, and, I just, stopped caring about it, stopped caring about, the opinion of, those people that were talking shit.
And Joshua, we are not on basic cable, so you can drop an occasional curse. You will not get in trouble for that. We will start with Jeremy Harridges. Jeremy, please go ahead and ask your question for Josh.
Hey, Josh, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. You were talking about this fight, obviously getting a lot of attention for the controversy. Was it hard not to take it personally initially when you were getting those messages, and what did you learn from that whole experience of maybe getting some of that negative attention?
Yeah, of course it's hard, not to take it personal, especially with, everything that happened, and like you said, all that, stuff I was getting towards me. But I mean, it is, I came to, think about it, and, sometimes it's going to be like that. People are going to, talk bad, whether it's good or bad. So, I mean, it is what it is. So, I mean, I'm ready for this third one coming up.
Do you dust those comments off, or does it turn into a motivating factor going into this trilogy bout?
Now I take it as motivation. I take it as motivation. If people are, talking bad, I mean, let them talk bad. That's their opinion, and maybe that's how they feel, inside about themselves. So, I mean, it is what it is.
Thank you, and best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. And next up, we go to Cynthia Conte, who has her hand raised. Cynthia, please go ahead.
Hi, Joshua. I asked Andrew about the fight, how often or how many times he's watched it. And he said that he's watched it over 100 times. And he mentioned at 1 minute and 36 is where you held your eye. I want to know, did you and Robert and the team watch it over and over? And what did you take from that, from what you saw in your own fight?
I did watch it a couple of times. I didn't, rewatch it that many times, but I mean, it was only a 2-round fight. I didn't really take much from it, but that, he started strong like he did the first fight. I mean, the way I seen it, it was going the same way as the first fight. I was gonna start breaking him down little by little. So, I mean, that's why we're had this third fight. We're gonna handle our business in this third fight.
What did you learn about him since now this is your trilogy fight? Do you think he's going to come in with the same game plan? Because he said he knows what he needs to do because he already technically knows your style.
I mean, he could say what he says. I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to be the ones, getting in the ring, and we'll see if he can figure me out again. I mean, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Are you angry going into this fight because of what even Jeremy said, with the emotions that you're going in, or are you with the chip on your shoulder, or are you just going to go in there and know you're the man and not let your emotions get to you?
Yeah, I am the man, So, I'm excited for this fight. I'm not angry, but I'm excited. I'm ready to go in there and hurt this guy and dominate, and be smart doing it as well. Don't get careless and stuff.
Thank you very much, Cynthia. And next we go ahead to Abe Gonzalez. Abraham, please unmute yourself.
Hey, Joshua, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Hey, this is your second trilogy in the last couple of years. It's almost, you have that experience in your corner when it comes to that. Given that you've gone through a trilogy already, do you feel like you have a little bit of an edge, knowing what you've experienced from your previous trilogy with Negrete?
It might be a little bit of an edge. They're two different fighters, so especially with the way the second fight ended, I wouldn't really count it as a fight. So I'm taking this new one. I'm taking this fight as a new challenge, and that's what makes me very excited about it. I have a new challenge in front of me. So I'm ready.
And then the next question is, given that this last fight was in November and training for that fight was still in a limited capacity as far as COVID and those things. Now with this past training camp, not as of recent, but in the last month or two, it was a little bit more open to get sparring and those type of things. Do you feel like you're a little more prepared this time than the last time out because of those things?
Well, I still got great sparring, my last camp, but I feel like for this camp, I had a longer training camp. When this camp ends, it's gonna be a 12-week camp, and I was grateful enough to get a lot of sparring, from everywhere. I had a different styles of sparring, different, even some sparring partners that were contenders. So I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
And Joshua, can you take us back to last November 14th? Obviously, it's the famed 26, 27-minute video replay. Can you take us back to what was going on in your mind as all these deliberations are going on, and there was a lot of confusion, and obviously for Andrew's wondering, is he gonna, win the world title? You must be wondering, am I gonna lose my world title? What were those 25, 30 minutes like for you standing in that ring?
Man, I was just like, what's taking so long? I was ready, just to get the decision over with, no matter what the call was. But I was just hoping that that the officials made the right call. At that point, it's not even in our hands. It's in the judges and the officials' hands. So I was just ready to get out of the ring because I was in there for a long time, just waiting. But it ended the way it ended.
And that's that very, very much true. And we have a couple more questions for you, Joshua. Mike Rueda, please unmute yourself.
All right, Josh, how you doing today, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Good to speak with you again. Obviously, man, you've been hearing Andrew's name. He mentioned this earlier. You've been hearing his name now for 16 months since the very first fight. As you said, you've been in this camp now for 12 weeks. How much more motivation and maybe just anger and, pissing you off does that make you leading into this fight, and hopefully for you and for him ending this whole run of fights for you guys?
Well, at first, it did piss me off a lot, but as time went on, I started, getting over it. But, I did have a lot of motivation going into this camp, and I mean, I took all that fire in with me, and that's why I trained my ass off, So, I'm ready. I'm ready to go, and I'm ready to dominate this guy and punish him come Saturday night.
Thank you very much, Mike. And next we go to Ryan O'Hara. Ryan, please unmute yourself.
Hey, Josh, Ryan O'Hara here with the Ring. It's good to talk to you again. And I know we talked about a few weeks ago, and you were talking about how going into the rematch, that you came into camp, a little bit too heavy, and that obviously changed for this upcoming fight. Now that we're approaching fight night, how are you feeling? And has there been any improvements from the last time we've spoken?
I'm feeling very good. I woke up very excited today, knowing that it's fight week. So I'm very excited. I can't wait. To weigh in, eat something good, and then Saturday night, have fun in there. And there hasn't been any changes, since the last time we spoke. It's just the same thing, training hard, and this week, just cutting it down.
I asked Andrew this and mentioned, you and Andrew are known as two of the nicer guys in boxing for good reason. There was a little, after the fight, there was obviously emotions got hot with your team and his team. Is there any bad blood between the two? I mean, I know the camps are one thing, but do you feel any bad blood between the two of you personally, or is that just, or is the other stuff just the external factors going on? Is there any bad blood between you and Andrew personally in your mind?
In my mind, I would say, there is a little bit of bad blood there, because of, I know that he's been talking, saying that he deserves the title, this and that. But, he might feel that way, but the way I feel is you don't deserve a title, from a fight that only went 2 rounds. And I mean, that's why, I'm glad we made the third fight. I didn't even have to take this fight, but I wanted to, just so I could, prove to myself and prove to Andrew Maloney. I'm going to remind him, what I did the first fight.
And obviously that first fight was a unanimous decision last June, and what was an upset at the time. Joshua, are there any final thoughts you'd like to share before I probably leave in for Tulsa tomorrow or Wednesday? So any final thoughts as fight week continues?
I just want to say thank you everybody for the time, and make sure to everybody tune in Saturday night on ESPN, see an explosive performance from me, and you don't want to miss it. It's going to be fireworks, the whole card.
Thank you so much, Joshua, for joining us today, and we will see you in Tulsa. That concludes the Q&A portion of the call. As a reminder, Saturday night, Hard Rock Hotel and Casino Tulsa, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific on ESPN and ESPN Plus, Sky Sports in the UK. Undercard starts at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time. Great fights on that, including Joshua Greer and Andrew and Jason Maloney. My apologies. So yeah, stack card Saturday night in Tulsa. We will see you then. Joshua, thank you. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you fight night. Cheers.
All right, boy, man, I was doing a whole bunch of
Recording.
all right, there's that. That's going. Yeah. So very busy day on Saturday, as we talked about. Here, let's go over it again while we're here. For the boxing degenerates that muscled through that. I look at it like this. Like one day when I'm like 50, 60 years old, I'm going to be able to look back and say, I was on that motherfucking media call. And see how old the fighters be. Like basically like an archive of all this calls and whatnot. But anyway, let's talk about the card. Or the cards of the day first. It's going to be a very, very busy day. For the degenerates like myself, I'm going to be looking for it. But over in Dubai, you're going to be having Austin No Doubt Fish Trout taking on Alejandro Davila, Mike Perez versus Tony Salam, Anthony Sims Jr. versus Hernan David Perez. That's no network. I don't know what the hell that network is. On the Zone on Saturday, You're going to have Virgil Ortiz Jr. versus Aglidas Kavalauskas. Roger Gutierrez versus Rene Alvarado. Felix Alvarado versus Eric Lopez. Pablo Cesar Cano versus Danielito Zorella. What time is that card? Let me go see real quick. Because sometimes them zone cards come on early to compensate not streaming while other cards are on. So let's go see real quick when that card comes on. See? Oh, no, wait. And 8 p.m. Okay. Well, earlier in the day, let's go back. Let's all out we on it. So, over on Showtime. So, basically, you're going to have 1, 2, 3 competing cards on at the same time. You're going to have Virgil Ortiz versus Aglidas Kavalauskas. That card that we just talked about. John Real Casimiro versus Guillermo Rigondeaux at 118 pounds for the WBO title. I'm looking forward to that fight, the fight of the night to me. Antonio Russell versus Manny Rodriguez. Rashid Warren versus Damian Vasquez. That's on Showtime. Then over on ESPN, the call we just did the Zoom for. Joshua Franco, Andrew Maloney. For, I don't count the WBA title anymore unless it's a super. So we're just going to see Joshua Franco versus Andrew Maloney. Nico Ali Walsh versus Jordan Weeks. Arnold Barboza Jr. versus Antonio Moran. Arnold Barboza Jr. closing in on a WBO eliminator at 140 pounds. Jason Maloney versus Joshua Greer Jr. That's going to be a fun fight. And then earlier, and also you have Carlos Badras versus Fidel Cervantes. Carlos Badras' top rank on ESPN debut. Remember, he was PBC. Ring star of Richard Schaefer. And then earlier in the day, you have Joshua Buatsi versus Richard Bolitniks. Joe Cordina versus Joshua. I don't know who these guys are after Joe Cordina. I don't know who they are. Oh, and Raymond Ford. Okay, I know who he is. But everybody else, nope. Karash Farouk. Okay, I heard of him. But everybody else, nope, 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 nope. And that's it. The fights that are televised here in the States of note. That's it. I'm actually going to be doing another stream. I want to do it later on today, but I may not because I want to wrap up all the fights from last week. We're narrowing down a day to do, boxing streams. As I did a video yesterday, we're streamlining things, no pun intended, to, like get a real solid, grounded schedule for when we're going to do our videos. So as it's looking right now, it's going to be a busy, busy week of boxing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get up out of here and say that I'm going to be covering all of these fights. Let me tell you exactly how many fights I'm going to be covering, how many videos I'm going to be doing this Saturday. It's going to be busy. So, of course, I got to cover the top rank card. Of course, I got to cover Virgil Ortiz versus Kavalauskas. So that's one video I'm doing for that card. Obviously, I'm covering Casimiro versus Rigondeaux. I may not cover that undercard. I may just talk about them in just one video. That's what I mean by I may not cover. I am going to cover it. Joshua Franco, Andrew Maloney. I really want to cover and do an individual video on Arnold Barboza versus Antonio Moran and both Maloney fights. Carlos Badras, too. So we got to try to figure out how we're going to do this. And yeah, I'm going to sit through that Joshua Buatsi card. Hell, I sat through PBC on Fox last week where Maestre, or this last Saturday where Maestre got that controversial bullshit win over Atlantis Fox. And I sat through the Kid Galahad card, the whole card. I covered both of them. So, of course, I can sit here and cover some Joshua Buatsi, Joe Cordina versus Joshua Hernandez and whoever the hell these other people are. Because I just don't know. I don't know. I'm sure I've probably seen them all before. Like, I know I've seen Cash Farouk before. But everybody else, Hopi Price, I'm sure I've seen him before. Sounds familiar, And, of course, I've covered Raymond Ford and been on media calls with him. So, there's going to be press conferences for all of this stuff. It's going to be busy. I'm getting up out of here, guys. I'm T Street Controversy with FightView360.com.